Hello, this is Grady with another GIMP, the new image manipulation program video tutorial. Today we are going to be talking about how to open an image and add text to it. As you can see, we already have GIMP open over here. And to open an image, all you would have to do is go to File. You can choose Open. This gives you the browser window. You simply browse to wherever it is that you want. These are going to be some commonly selected areas. These are some areas that you may have found that you use a lot, and you can simply add them. And then you just find the file that you want to add, and then you click on Open. Now, one of the other options here is that you can open this layer. It operates just the same way as Open does. The difference is that it gives you a new layer in your image, and it names the layer with and any other layers that it contains with the name of your file that it came from. You can also choose to open from a location. However, just be aware that if you open from a location, you may not be able to save back to that location. You would have to save onto your computer and then re-upload to wherever it is that you want to open the image from. The other way you can choose to load an image is to open a file that you recently been working with. In this case, I'm going to open up this light bulb image. This is an image that I downloaded for a client recently, and it has some nice areas of contrast that makes it really easy for us to add an image to it, add some text to it. Now, in your toolbox, you can click on the text tool, or you can type the letter T, and that will give you the text options down here. You have several different ways to choose the font. You can click on this box here and scroll through the list until you find one that you want. You can type in the name of the font that you want. Or you can go over to the Layers and Channels menu, and you can simply select the font that you want. Another thing that you can do before you start working with your text is you can change the size of your font. You can use the up and down arrows to make it smaller or larger, or you can type in the size that you want your font to be. You can also adjust the units that it measures in. I typically use pix, which is the pixels, which is px. Now the next three options that you're going to see, the hinting, force auto hinter, and anti-aliasing. The auto hinter will only be on if you choose to use hinting. Otherwise, it's grayed out. I typically leave it checked, and the anti-aliasing checked, as those are the default values. And then once you have those selected, then you can choose your color. Now, whenever you're first starting out, you may notice that your color is the same color as your text color. Clicking on the box will open up the text color tool. You have the default GIMP screen window to choose a color from. You can choose to adjust the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black levels, CYMK, on the printer menu. You can choose the artist easel to select your color, the palette, artist palette. You can use the hue saturation value color wheel if you're familiar with that method of selecting a color, or you can select from a predefined palette of system colors. Now, if you notice down here at the bottom, you see one says current and another one says old. Old is what is currently set as your foreground color or the color of the text whenever you went into this window. In this particular case, since we're looking with the text color, it was going this color right here, which happens to be the same as the text color at the moment. Now current is, if we were to click on OK, it would replace the foreground color and your text color with the current color. Now there's a number of ways that you can choose your color. Even with the GIMP window here, you have the hue saturation value or you have the RGB. You can use the sliders. You can use the up and down buttons, or you can use this little box window over here. Any one of those will work. Now what these boxes over here are, if you notice, this box looks like this box because this box is what is currently selected. If you change it to the saturation, it would change this to the saturation, or you could set it as the value, the red, the green, or the blue. The other two boxes would be the other two options in the set. So if you set it to hue, the other two options would be saturation and value. If you set it to red, the other options would be green and blue. And so on. Now hue has values from 0 to 360, as you might guess from the color wheel. Saturation and value both have values from 0 to 100. RGB values run from 0 to 255 for all three levels there. If you happen to know the HTML notation for your particular color, you can choose the color that way. Another cool tool that you can use is the eyedropper. Now the cool thing about the eyedropper is it will take a sample from anywhere on the screen. It doesn't matter where the sample is. If it's anywhere inside the GIMP window, or it could even take a sample outside of the GIMP window. As you can see, I'm down here on the background part of my screen, and it's pulling color samples from back there. Now down here, this is going to be your previously selected colors. The one up here at the upper left is going to be your most recent. This is going to be your oldest. You can simply choose the color that you want using whichever method that you like. Once you have your color set, then you click on OK, and then it sets your color. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can choose to add text. The easiest way is to simply click, and then that gives you the text editor, and you type in the text that you want. And as you type in the text box expands. One thing that happens quite often is that your text doesn't wind up where you want it to be. If you hover over the text so that you have the arrows pointing in all directions, you can move your text. If you go over here to the side, you can adjust to the left and to the right on either side. And you can do the same thing on the top and the bottom. Or if you use the colors, you can do both sides at the same time. The other way you can add text is by using a click and drag method. This gives you a predefined size for your text box, and it will try to fill up that box as best it can. If it runs out of space, in the text box, it will wrap around as just as it would in a text editor. Now you do have some options that are common to text editing available to you. You can justify to the left, to the right, to both sides, or you can center your text within the box. You can, if you have multiple lines of text, you can set the first line. Now this first line acts as if it's changing the first line of a paragraph of text. You can also adjust the space between text, between lines, and you can also adjust the space between characters. Now the thing to note about all three of these is that they can be positive or they can be negative. Now, one nice thing about the way that GIMP handles text in this program, the way GIMP handles text, is if you happen to go off to another tool, you can still edit the text by selecting the right layer of text that you want to change. Make sure that you have the text tool open, and then double clicking on the text itself will bring back up in the text editor window, and that you can see over here that you have back your text color and all of your options that you had for your text, and you can then change whatever you need to change. Once you have the text like you like it, you can save your file. I use save as so that a lot of the time so that I can keep the original image. You could choose where to save it using the same file browser as in the open menu, and you can also choose to change the file type. XCF is the native format for Blender, but you can also choose to save as a GIF, a JPEG, or a PNG, three of the common file formats that are used in web pages. Now, one of the nice things about the XCF format is that it will save information that some of the other formats will lose. That's all for this particular lesson. In the next lesson, I will talk about how you can work with images that have less contrast between them. As always, if you would like to see further video tutorials on the GIMP program, you can visit my website, or you can visit my website to have an image made for you. This is Grady saying so long for now, and we'll see you in the next video.